Heyo, we're back again with another video. I think the last time I said that we were on video 7, that may have been video 8, which makes this maybe video 8 to 9. I think it might be 9. Welcome to whichever this is. So, without much doing lots of other things, let's kind of just jump in and see where we were at and where we need to be, right? So, let's see, what did we actually need to do? I know we had collisions working. We had these little rectangle things going. What did we still need to do? Oh, we needed a state, right? We needed to speed up this paddle a little bit, and we needed some state. So I guess the first thing I want to do is to speed up the paddle, and then we'll start adding in states. Now game states are very important to us. They allow us to define the flow of how the game works. Like initially what I want is if we're in a starting state, like we haven't actually started playing the game, I'd like for there to be some text on the screen, and the ball doesn't move, nothing happens. And when something is supposed to happen, I'd like for the player to click, and then we capture that click and then change state based on that click. So I guess the first thing we need to do is just... No, I really want to sort out this paddle. The game isn't fun without this paddle being sorted out, right? If it could just move twice as fast as this, I'd be happy. In fact, can't we just set the paddle to the mouse coordinates? Isn't there a way to just set it to the mouse coordinates? Like why do we have to say if it's less than? Can't we just say it equals? Right? Yeah, so I guess the first thing we do is just check what the paddle is doing. The next thing after that is we're gonna take this thing and just refactor it a little bit so that it's not all kind of stuck in this one file. I don't like how it is. Excuse me. So update mouse click get clean. Click if m.sx less than paddle blah blah blah. I think you see it's already almost on its fastest. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to say paddle x equals m.sx minus paddle width over 2. I expect it to be consequences to this, right? Let's see, maybe the consequences are negligible, but I expect it to be some consequences to this. It couldn't possibly just be that kind of straightforward. Nope, there we go, straightforward. So now you have to be super accurate to the mouse, right? Another thing I'd like to do is when the mouse is on the play area here, I would like for it to not be visible, right? There should be no reason for this mouse to be visible, so we should just check how we do that. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I saw something there that didn't look right. That text should be slightly higher than where it is. So update scores function s score. That just updates the value. Here's my rate. So minus. Yeah, x y simulation minus. Maybe just minus 40, right? And in the bottom position is just like off on the simulation, right? So that's fine. There says more drawing code here. I'm kind of happy with that. Wait, was that it? We needed to move the thing and move the other thing and then refactor. So here we go. Yeah, so now this is not over the paddle where in this corner is the score is on top of the paddle. It kind of just, I don't know, it's an unpleasant experience. I'd prefer for the score to be over there, but right now I'm more focused on let's get game states working. So Before we fiddle with game states too much, the pedal should actually be wider. There's no reason for the pedal to be this tiny thing. Simulation width, numbreaks, wall width, wall height. Is the pedal width not defined like that? I have no idea what this means. 6.25 times simulation width over 100. Does that mean 6.25% of the simulation width is this pedal? Is that what that means? Sorry. What if I make that 10% and then 3.1? I don't like these magic numbers. I know when I first started I put the magic numbers in, but that was 8 months ago. That pedal feels beefy. It feels meaty, right? That's much better. Oh, the next thing I wanted to do is just to say that when the mouse is on this client area, I'd like for it to not be visible. Let's think about how do we actually do that. In Windows, you can actually say that I'd like the cursor for this client area to be this thing, right? Let's just go find it. It's in the cpp blocks.cpp file. When you create I think you create the wind class and you say my wind class, here we go. My wind class edge cursor equals IDC hand. I'd just like to go check IDC hand to see if there's a what does this do? So it's IDC arrow, IDC I beam, I weight, I cross up arrow size, icons, sizing. I just wanna basically all I want is when I'd like to move this over here and just pin it. When we have the cursor on the client area, I'd like for it to just not exist, to just be not visible. Oh, that just looks totally wrong. This can actually confuse if you got it on the ball. I guess we'll need to okay, let's just put that back the way it is. We'll have to capture some mouse input to figure out what's going on. There is a there's a mouse leaf. I'm not convinced that's the one, but I know mouse. Let's just go find it. Let's just go look for it. WM IME, nope, IME, mouse hover, mouse leave. In C, mouse hover, mouse leave. Where are all the mouse commands? And why is it only available in certain versions of Windows, right? Mouse leave. I guess that's mouse leave the window, right? Mouse activate doesn't seem to be the right one. So, oh no. WM mouse. Let's see if there are any mouse things we can look for. Mouse first. Mouse last. Okay, let's go through. Caught me watching. GDI mouse input, mouse interleave events, and then capturing the mouse. I don't like mouse capture because it causes so many kinds of issues. I just want to know when the mouse enters and leaves, right? Is this also using, what kind of filter is this? And yeah, this is, why does this look like C# or something along those lines? Win32 GDI mouse enter and leave client area events. I just want to know what the Windows events are for tracking mouse enter and leave. Right? That's all I really need to do. Mouse coordinates. I just want to know when the mouse enters and leaves the client area of the window. That's all I really need to know. Win32 GDI hide mouse on client area. It's such a simple solution, right? Oh, they hide cursor inside client area. That's such a silly thing. So I want to hide the cursor. Show cursor false is not suitable. He finds the solution cursor mask and cursor mask, or when class H cursor is create cursor and an or. Oh, look at this. So if it's set cursor and it's the client area, you can just set it to null. Oh, that's interesting. So what these guys are saying is, you see where we looked at this thing, where we say I'd like to load this cursor here. They're saying you can explicitly set this to null, right? But then what Windows does is it actually tells you, hey, if you don't define a cursor, then I'm gonna ask you, yeah, you know, what is the cursor? So let's just compare that again. Set me a cursor, right? And most likely, if you don't set a cursor, the def window proc will probably just set IDC arrow. Let's see. Oh, cancel. I don't want to have changed this. No, don't change that. I don't know what happened there. But the idea would be, yeah, it's just gonna try. It's gonna explicitly try. It's just gonna randomly set a cursor. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. So basically, what these guys are saying, you can handle this case. Actually, switch message, right? We don't actually, let's just take this out. This doesn't need to be here specifically. This needs to be here. We're actually fiddled with it. So what they're saying is case wm set cursor break, and what they want you to do here is check actually this should probably, if what is it, lowered upper way equals ht client. Is that it? Oh, it's just one word. So if it's set cursor and lowered all param equals ht client, then just set cursor null and return true, else fall through, right? There we go. Yeah, h cursor just null and then return true. So we don't fall through, we don't do anything. It's gonna complain. Do not show this message again. No. I don't know what I hit. But ideally what I want is to not have the cursor in the way. That's all I want. Right? There we go. Yeah. So when you get set cursor on this window, it sets it to whatever it needs to be. When you get set cursor on this window, it sets it to whatever it needs to be. That is excellent. Okay, that's fine. So step one is just kind of get that working. This formatting is terrible today. Why does it not look great? Okay, so now that that's sorted out, I'd like to quickly, I don't have that much time, but I'd like to quickly just fix this mess. I think the first thing I need is for the simulation thing to just not be a class. I'd like for, do I need simulation here, or do I just need simulation? Yeah. Right. Let's just see, do I have repos, how to coding, collisions, entities. I guess at the top level here with everything else would actually be simulation, right? So we do new simulation. Today and then just the corresponding CPP file. CPP, yes. And then the corresponding filter. I guess it lives at the top level, right? So header files, add existing item similarity on.h, add, and then source files, add existing item similarity on.cpp, and there we go. Now we need to decide what goes in here, right? Sorry, just give me a second. As you can see, my green screen is, oh, it's off by one. I didn't even notice my screen is off by one. How did that happen? I sprayed the screen with what is it? I got myself this fabric spray, P&A salted. It's like $30 a bottle. I got my hands on some of that, and it was epic, right? So what that does is it gives you something happened. I think that happened. I think the lid just flopped back. But what it gives you is it gives you this nice, I don't know if you can see, it's probably going to be, yeah, it's transparent. I thought as much is going to be transparent, but it gives you this nice green color. You can see the bottle is fairly dirty. And I sprayed my screen a little bit darker green with that. And what that does is it gives me like a much more fine grain control over the color. You can actually see the green bleed over onto the outline of my person, but it is a much better green. It's like a much neater color to work with than the previous color was this weirdly light green. Like I don't even have something that's that same color. But it's just this crazy light green color. I don't actually have anything the same color. But it was this there we go. It was like this weird, this color, it's just gonna pick up every green. That's my way. I shouldn't know. I'm filtering green. I shouldn't know. But it's this weird light green color that was just horrible to work with because the amount of bleed on there was just crazy. So I guess as a first step, this actually none of these need to be so essentially everything all the way down is just not required, right? Wait, don't I have a button for this? Yep, there we go. So essentially this goes back to what it should be, just include resource.h, which means, can't I just include that here? Sorry about that. You can see today I don't have my water with me. I think I want to delete this file. I think I very much want to delete that file. So it doesn't make sense to have it in here in any case. It's like this. I don't think there's anything we can gain by having that file around. Once. So let's see what we can do to clean this up. Let's just grab simulation.h stays and simulation.cpp becomes a thing. I just want to check there's something we need to do. We need to get the... Are we not using precompiled headers? That's nice. Okay, so I guess the first thing we do is I should include simulation.h, yes. And then we start defining things, right? So let's just do this. Oh, it's going to complain about all these structures and things. For the simulation, I expect to use these. I expect to use this. I don't expect to use the auto brush outside of the simulation. Let's just say I've got an auto brush class. I don't wanna. Okay, I don't really have an option. I have to do it. Oh, I'm not even doing it here. So open document frame. Oh, I am doing it there. So I can just include framework.h here as well. Right? That should give me all my little handles and things that I need. But then specifically what I wanted was I wanted to find everything, but then these functions I want to just shunt over to the CPP file. So I guess we got game mouse that we need to move over, right? So let's start with that. Game mouse. It should work exactly like that. And then over here we just say there is one. Same thing here with this get clear and clicked. Yeah, this is gonna be a long trek through the swamp of weirdness. It's just gonna be game mouse get clear and clicked, I guess. Yes, and then over here we just say there is one. I think get and clear is not const. Yeah, unfortunately it's not const. Okay, so that's fine. That's not too difficult to work with. Just means that when we go to simulation, we have simulation over here. We have simulation with just a bunch of definitions. The same thing with scale coordinates. There's no reason for the meat and potatoes of this to sit over there. Let's just do game mouse. I know again, still this isn't exactly right, but it's close enough. It's at least it's a start. We can always there's always time to refactor. We don't really have to do crazy amounts of things, right? I'm happy with that structure right now. Let's save that struct auto brush private h brushes auto brush get. Okay, so again, yeah, you know this. Let's just say there is an implementation for this. I think this just looks like that, and we can just do it here. So this becomes game auto brush. Game auto brush. Is that it? Game auto brush. Yes. That's lovely. How did I break that? What did I do? Okay, so yeah, we've got our game auto brush, and we can fiddle with the definitions of things. But what it does give us is this. It gives us this where we've got a couple of structures and a couple of things, and everything's happy. So I'll leave this declaration over there. That's fine, I think, kind of. but then again we need this, right? So I guess that's what game similarity on update. Yeah, so let's just do that quickly. There is actually a way to open these tabs side by side. It should make it a little bit easier. Avoid game similarity on update, right? And that takes a game mouse reference. Oh no. Takes a game mouse reference in and does a bunch of things. So I'm happy with that. That's also that. Yeah, there's a lot going on here that we need to unpack. So I guess I'm kind of happy that this is the day we do this, because I was getting tired of scrolling through that file. Right? Let's just grab this. You know, I should say something like, why can't it see those? It can see them now. I should say something like using namespace game, and then it just becomes like a very straightforward class definition. But who am I? I'm that guy. That guy is lazy. You know, today has been a long week. Like, we ran into so many weird problems at work. It's not even funny. So I mean, you know, ideally I didn't want to spend this time coding, since I spent the whole day coding. But I so much want to get this working. Like, I want it to working to the point where I can say for sure, like, this is definitely how I wanted it. Right? That's all I want. That's all I want to say. Like, at the end of this, I want to say this is how I wanted it. This is how I set out to have it done, and then I'm happy. Then I'm super happy. This needs to be game mouse. I mean, if we can learn something from doing this, then I mean, it's even better, right? I think so far we've learned several ways how not to do it. We've learned so many things that, you know, you shouldn't be doing. Let's see what the syntax looks like. Void on brick broken override semicolon. And then in the implementation file, you should not repeat that keyword. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now that we have this all nicely broken up, let's see that it still compiles. Gotta take care of that warning at some point. Okay, and the behavior is a little bit more consistent with what I expected it to do. You know, there's no cursor in the way on the client area over here. Ideally, in an ideal world, that score would not be there. It would maybe be part of this window title. But since I kind of want to add in a full screen capability to this, I'm not too excited about doing things with the title bar. I don't want to have this maximized thing. I want a full screen, like an actual let's pop into full screen kind of thing at some point. I know I never discussed it, but I think all games should have it. In fact, on the browser it's incredibly easy. There's an API. You can get a working full screen setup in less than 80 lines of code, if I'm not mistaken. You check, does it exist? You check if you can request it, if you have the permissions, if you're not in some weird like extra tight sandbox, and then you just request it, and then you keep track of that state. Are you in full screen? Was it bounced out of by, you know, user preference or some setting that the user modified, or did the alt tab out of it? All kinds of things. You get a little callback, and it'll callback, set your state, and then, you know, toggle your state button that requests it. But it's such a nice API. Windows has something similar, but not really exactly the same. It's a little bit different. You request a resolution change. Essentially, you request full screen via resolution change. It's a little bit different. Okay, I'm happy with looking at that. So we have it bouncing. We have the way to set the score. What we don't have is a way to say these are my states that the simulation are in. Now that we have the simulation, does the mouse depend on anything else? Not really. I could define this in its own file. I should define this in its own file. I guess I'll do that off screen. I'm just gonna make a note here that this needs to go into its own file. We'll have #include mouse here and a CPP file for mouse. I can do that off screen. I don't need to code every single thing here. I just want to get to the meat and potatoes of it. This auto brush, I could probably figure out a way to do auto brush as well. In its own compilation unit, it will #include framework.h, declare auto brush in the game namespace, and then have a corresponding CPP file that takes care of the action implementation. And then we'll just #include auto brush here. Nice and easy, right? Yeah, for simulation, wall and brick, I guess we have to have these included in the header file. Ball, brick, wall, paddle, collision checker. These are all things that collision check. Yeah, we need collision checker because one of our overrides are something that's inside collision checker. So I mean, all in all, not too bad. But what I do want is something called a state. The state should be initial. There should be initial, which is not started, and initial displays a special message that says, hey, move the mouse to make the paddle follow you. Move the mouse to kind of control the paddle. Click to start the game. Right? I think that's going to be our initial state. I guess that's going to need an enum game state. That's not the syntax for that at all. State. One day I'll learn to type. After the initial state and you click, there should be this I want it to be like a countdown state that like you click and it goes 3, 2, 1, and then you move the ball, you move the paddle and the ball bounces. I kind of want that thing. So maybe state initial, state countdown. From countdown state, you're actually in gameplay where you can control the paddle, right? So we want to do state gameplay. From gameplay state, you could probably click to pause, right? And pause just, it kind of freezes the world. It doesn't move the paddle around. Yeah, I think if you are paused, then you should probably see where your mouse cursor is. In fact, no. Let's be even easier. You can cheat with this, but it's fine. Let pause do what pause does, right? You can move the paddle around, but the ball doesn't move. Everything just kind of stops, right? So we'll have state paused, and then you play and you play and you play, and then you can either clear the stage, right? So you'll have like a win state, which is like, yay, I finished the game. Or you can have a, oh no, I lost, right? So state win, state lose. And I guess that those are the states, right? So I need a member that is one of these states, and I guess the first thing we need is an actual game state, current state, right? That's gonna make the most sense for us. So as part of our list of private things, this is part of handling things on the screen. This is part of the game. I guess it doesn't actually matter, but I'd like to put it somewhere. Game state, current state, and then this current state needs to be the first state here. So state initial. So let's put in simulation CPP, mouse, brush, simulation. Why is update above simulation? Oh, because it's private, and then this maybe the constructor should go first, right? Yeah, maybe the constructor should be first, the first thing you encounter, because constructor, destructor, and then update and draw, and then the supplementary functions, right? Oh, and then inherited interface, so I guess it goes there. Yeah. So all the inherited stuff, if you want to get to all the things that you're implementing from other interfaces, you just grab this and go check. The last thing in the file is my overrides, right? So that's fine. So let's look at it. Simulation. When you start off, you construct a bunch of stuff. I want to explicitly update the score, and I want to very explicitly say current state equals state initial. Here's a little trick. There are no other states in the game, but I'd like, if I add in a bunch of other things that are these constants that show up as yellow, I'd like to be able to differentiate between them. I don't want to type game state, state initial. I want to just know when I start typing initial, it's a state, right? So unfortunately, this leaves us with this extraneous little piece here, state initial. What you can do is, if you don't want to type state initial, you can actually dereference it to, not dereference, access it like this. Initial, game state's initial. So the state then becomes superfluous. You could just say game state's initial, right? It's only complaining because I didn't do this. But the question becomes, and this is a big question, do you want to be this clear that it is a game state, right? Because you don't have to type this. Do you want to be this clear that it's a game state, because that's extra typing? Or do you just want to leave this and then allow people to either be incredibly clear about it or just lazy and do that? It's not really laziness if the language allows it, right? Let's just get that kind of out of our heads. It's not lazy if your language allows it. In Python, you could do, this could just be a comprehension, right? Is it? Yeah, this part here, this part here can just be a comprehension. It's like a standard list comprehension. There's nothing stopping you from doing it like that. It's part of the language. It's not a shortcut, it's a feature. It's not lazy if your language allows it. So I guess this is fine, but just for clarity, if I put initial here, the next guy comes and reads this, it's not going to be too clear. Even though I made this a very clear name, I'd like for this to say state initial, because I'm writing it. You can refactor it if you want. Yes, you can. Check it out. Do whatever you want. Send me a pull request, right? And then we'll do like an online code review. We'll see what it is. So yeah, I want to update and draw. The update function handles whatever needs to happen. So what I want to do is, I want to draw the walls, I want to draw the bricks, I want to draw all of these things, I want to draw the score, and then I want to draw game state text, I guess, right? This update function will actually change it, and then the draw game state text function will use it. I guess we can just call it draw state text, I guess. Why is this public? In any case, this shouldn't be public, right? Yeah, update score shouldn't be public. No one else can call it. We call it internally, no one else can call it. So draw state text, I guess, guys, if you watched my JavaScript video, I think it's the exact same idea that I'm using here. It's probably the exact same approach as well, because the idea is fairly solid, right? You have a little screen that says, if you're in this game state, draw these things. If you're in that game state, draw those other things. And then you just have in your update loop, you can actually say, when you update, if where the heck did I put update? Down at the bottom. If you haven't started the game yet, right? So mouse click equals, so now you do switch current state, and if the state is state initial, okay, state initial, then you can't update the ball, right? Basically the only time the ball moves around is during state run. So if you are in state initial, then do nothing. You don't even check collisions, you do nothing, right? If you're in state initial, essentially you can't even move that paddle, so you could just return. That's actually what state initial does, it returns early. Let's just go in order. What is the order of these states? We just grab them from here. Like, they literally just go in order. If you're in that countdown state, again, do nothing. The player can't cheat, they can't do anything. If you're in countdown state, again, do nothing. So I'm gonna say case initial, case countdown, right? State initial, state countdown, you do nothing. No, actually I lie. If you're in the countdown state, you're gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and then you're gonna allow them to move. So you'd need that counter to do something and have some kind of timer that counts down, right? We can use a I don't like how that works, but let's just not do state countdown as a separate state. Let's leave state countdown here. We wanted to actually update the physical countdown, so let's do that. And then, you know, break at the end, in state countdown. I just want to leave a note here, like, do some kind of funky countdown thing. We're gonna have to start dealing with how to handle time in this game, right? And then in state gameplay, okay, state gameplay, you'd wanna sorry, let's break there. You'd want to be able to update the ball x, dx, x, y, blah blah blah. You do all of that during gameplay and check collisions, right? So let's just do that. Let's just look at it just from a step back quickly. You sit in initial, you sit in countdown, you sit in gameplay, right? And then you do this thing. In state paused, no other state can do collision checks and XY checks. So the only thing you can do is in paused, win and lose. You can have this paddle, right? And obviously in the gameplay state. So these top states, actually the countdown state would do some kind of funky countdown thing and then return. That's actually what I'd like it to do. These top states, they do things and they return. They don't update the ball positions, they don't check collisions, and they don't update the paddle. And then these further states, these subsequent states, these will actually do whatever they need to do and then break, right? So state win again, okay, state win, it will do whatever it needs to do. I think it'll wait for you to click, because it will display something that says, you know, click. If you click, then that's actually interesting. Let's just say if mouse clicked, then current state equals state initial. I just want to iron out this logic very quickly before I kind of get lost. And this, I guess, the same thing with state lose. The only difference is the text that displays on the screen would be different, but the idea would be the same, that it shows you text, it doesn't do anything. I guess paused would break, state win would click, and state lose would also click. Sorry if I'm losing you guys for a second, I'm kind of thinking and typing. So here's the idea. If you're in the initial state, it does nothing. There's just some text on the screen, but nothing moves, nothing updates, right? If you are in state initial and you click, it will go to the next state, because state initial will have some text on the screen and says, oh, you know, please click. to go to the next state. So if mouse clicked, current state equals state countdown, and then from there we can say if you're in countdown state, do some kind of thing, and at the end of that thing your state becomes state gameplay, right? And then if you're in gameplay state and stuff happens, we'll do it in the collision check later down. If stuff happens, then our state would be, you know, state win. How do we determine if you lost? We should probably have the concept of lives in here. We'll figure out how to do lives, right? Actually, I never thought of adding lives in there. Like, would you get 3 retries and that's it? I don't know. I'm not too interested in fleshing it out too much, but you'd get a state countdown does something, and then at the end of the thing it goes to state gameplay. State gameplay does check collisions. Check collisions causes some function to be called. We have a callback that we're interested in. In the callback we check, did you win? And from there we can say yes, you won, put you into, you know, state win. From if you're in state gameplay and you click the mouse, it will pause. If you are in state pause and you click the mouse, it'll gameplay. So if, right, no, let's just do it the same way. Right, and if you are in state pause, if you mouse click, then your current equals state. It is actually interesting. Should I go into state countdown? Don't care. Maybe not. What I do know is to enter the countdown state, current state equals state countdown is not going to be sufficient. Reason being, entering the countdown state means setting some kind of fixed point that we can count against. Like if we're counting 3 seconds, what are 3 seconds in the game, in the simulation? The simulation doesn't actually have we don't have a time delta. We can't know when 3 seconds have passed. So we need to kind of put down a fixed marker and say, you know, at this point I'm saying this was my date time or whatever, and then keep checking against that date time to figure out has 3 seconds elapsed, and then, you know, as a supplementary way, not supplementary way, but as a way to check, as to work against that value, we need to then say, you know, this many seconds have passed since, you know, we put down our fixed point in time, display that on the screen when it gets to the end of that our time period, then change the state over. So I guess this would be begin countdown actually. So Control X, begin countdown. And then the same thing, if we are in a paused state and we want to go into the gameplay state, countdown state always goes to the gameplay state, so we can just go straight to begin countdown, and we'll define what begin countdown actually does. It will set some kind of fixed marker, and then we'll check it in some way, right? Let's just define the function itself. I guess it can go in between these. Void game simulation begin countdown. And I just want to apologize again. I don't really do much preparation because during the day we are slammed with work, so I don't do much preparation before I start these videos. So you'll see me pause a lot to kind of just think about what does it need to do, how do I accomplish this, and that eats up a lot of time. I do apologize. Inside of here we'll do the actual counting, and you know, if something, then state equals state gameplay. So I mean, we can't compile this yet because we haven't hashed out all our edge cases. So you know, state win, state lose, mouse click, current state equals initial. Initial goes back to, hey, you know, draw stuff on the screen until the user clicks, and then begin the countdown. The countdown sets the state to countdown. This thing actually updates something. I'm not sure what, but it updates something, and then with that something we say when some time value has elapsed, then I guess we'll go into this gameplay state and we'll allow them to move the paddle around and do whatever. So if you're in this paused state, break, it allows you to move the paddle around. If you win or lose, break, it allows you to move this paddle around. I guess you want the world to stop. Ideally you want the world to stop, alright? But I guess for what we need right now, we don't really have to think too hard about, you know, stopping the simulation, stopping the world specifically. So what I want now is, what is the quickest way to count seconds in Windows? Does Windows have like a time API? Windows get time? Like, is there like a nice... I know about get tick count, which is horrible. But I want something that just gets me like how many seconds has elapsed, right? I guess we could use our number of frames that passes as a way to determine how much time has passed, but I'm not too happy with that. It's an LP system time thing that gets us our current time. We just count, I have 3 seconds passed, but that is the way to compare the system time. Set system time, count system time, LP system time. That's let's just look at what system time does. I just want to do a quick read. It's current time of day. Is there a way to compare these structures? I don't like it. Is there... Windows count how many seconds have passed. Like, I really don't want to go down there. Yeah, you have to do query performance timer. You see, the resolution of the get count function is limited to the resolution of the system time, which is in the range of 10 to 16 milliseconds, right? Oh no, whether I click away, if it's 10 to, sorry, give me a second, let me just read this. I'll just give me a second. So, it seems like we can just count milliseconds, right? This is the Windows, their own documentation. It looks like this get system time, get the count function. It looks a bit like we can just count milliseconds and then just, I mean, just do whatever we want. If it doesn't, the resolution of the get the count function doesn't actually matter that much if we compare milliseconds, because at the end of the day, if 3000 milliseconds have passed, 3000 milliseconds have passed, you might get 3000 and like 15 milliseconds or 16 milliseconds, but it's still 3000 milliseconds, so it doesn't have to be super accurate. So I guess this get the count function is going to be fine. It did take a few seconds, sorry if I've paused you, it did take a few seconds to read it, but I think this is fine. So what we then want here is the countdown state is begin countdown. Let's start with begin countdown. Let's just do it. M start time equals get tick count. Current state equals countdown. Then similarly on that header file, we'll create our dword I guess I don't want that M underscore. Just it looks tacky compared to how everything else looks. Let's just do start time. Equals get tick count, right? And you can't get into this countdown state unless you call begin countdown. It's the only thing that actually sets state to countdown, so that's fine. So start time equals get tick count. And here's this funky countdown thing that I'm going to do. Let's just remove this comment. It's not needed. So all we'll do is we'll say if get tick count minus start time is greater than countdown period, then state equals state gameplay. I guess that's all we can actually do, right? Control Z, Control C, and let's fix this, and let's fix that. So current state, let's just bring some latch. Guess after all the dimensions are defined, we just have to define countdown period is going to be 3000 milliseconds, because there's 1000 milliseconds in a second, I guess. I guess I know. We all know. So let's think about it. You come in this initial state, you click the mouse, we begin the countdown, right? Once we've begun the countdown, we set our marker in time as get me the number of ticks since the system started. Boom. Then we do kind of state equals state countdown. While we are in this countdown state, we say compare the next get tick count with our fixed point, and if there is a difference that's greater than this countdown period, then we know that we've marched on, and then we'll say get me the new set of gameplay, right? Or get me into that state of gameplay, and then you turn immediately. And then the next frame draws, and we say we are in gameplay, and the ball starts moving, collisions start being checked. We check if you click the mouse. We pause the game. If we are paused, we can unpause the game, which again begins this countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. And because we're in this pause state and we break, we allow you to kind of click and then position your paddle as you pause, and then it unpauses, and then you do your thing. Then we do in a win or a lose state, again we just break, and we let you click the mouse to get back to the initial state. So now what we have to do is we need to take this thing, big switch case statement, right? We need to draw state text based on these states, right? This update and draw function takes a rect and an HTC. I'd like to just take a rect, and a rect is such a small thing, I'd like to just pass it on the stack. So when we do, I guess we didn't actually call draw state text, right? Yeah, we don't actually call it. Ideally what we do is after we've rendered everything, right, we would then say, even after the score, we would say draw state text when we'll pass in our rect and that DC that we want to draw onto. Yeah, the DC we want to draw onto, but the DC is a member, so we don't really need to worry about it. We can just draw straight to it. So our draw state text function should just take a rect, right? Rect, damn near kill. And then we just define draw state text takes a rect, rect, and we'll use this to kind of get a, well, we don't actually need the rect, like if actually, yeah, we don't actually need the rect for a simple reason that we can just hardcode the position. There's nothing special about what we do here. We know the width and the height of the simulation, so we could just hardcode it. Let's just not take that rect in. There's no reason for it. The only reason we do the rect is so that we can do this stretch split here. So we don't actually need that rect. Let's not be weird about it. Let's be cool, guys. Just be cool. Be cool. Sorry about backtracking a little bit. I'm just trying to catch my bearings. So what would happen is, let's just go grab I would like to have an array of standard strings. I'd like to have an array of standard strings, or just a map of I'd like a map of std string to state. It, the more I think about it, the more it just makes sense to just do this. Ideally, we would have an actual like standard map of std string to state, right? That would be like ideal. But what we should do as an easy way is just switch current state and just dump all of those. It's just gonna be do the thing and then break, do the thing and then break, do the thing and then break. I think it's gonna be fine. So I guess we don't need these little brackets here. This becomes break. Do something, break, do something, break. Yeah, this becomes. Oh. So I just gotta get this right. State win as its own text, right? And then state lose as its own. Oh no, why would I do that? As its own text? And there should be no default for this. I'm just gonna leave default blank. But what would happen is you have this text rect, and the text rect is true right from the wall. The height is, I guess, half the height of the screen, maybe. We don't know. Maybe a quarter of the height of the screen. Yeah, whatever. Let's leave it half. The right point is simulation width minus 2 of these, right? So this would this is top. Rect is top. It's left, top, right, bottom. I think that's how that works. Right, bottom. So right would actually be simulation width minus one of these. Better boy. And then the actual height, the actual bottommost point of it would be just simulation height. We can't draw off the edge of the screen in any, we can't draw off the bottom of the screen in any case. So the idea would be that as we draw, we move that rectangle top down. We just add like 20 to it as we go, and then we just say draw. I don't have a nice way to do a bunch of strings, so I guess it'll just have to be like, I don't like doing it, but let's just do all the hard work every frame. You see what I'm talking about? Draw text, draw text, draw text, right? Countdown is draw text, and the gameplay is to draw nothing, just draw the score we know about. Oh, should the score be part of the draw gameplay thing? Right? The score should be, no, the score should always be on the screen. No matter what you're doing, the score isn't part of your whatever, right? So let's just do this. Let's just grab that as well. Why is it mounting? So during gameplay, we just don't do anything. When it's paused, we'll say, oh, click to start, or click to unpause. When you win, you say congratulations, we won. Click to, I guess, click to play again, in which case clicking from the win state shouldn't take you back to the initial state. It should take you back to the countdown state, because you've already seen the conditions of the game. But I'm gonna leave it as is so that you can read the conditions, move the paddle, do this, do that. But ideally, you would have something that says Oh shoot, I actually know now what's going on, why I wanted those little bracket things. So in the initial state, right, we do string one equals move the mouse to move the paddle, move the mouse to control the paddle, click to pause and unpause, click to toggle pause, mouse to toggle pause, string 3 equals click the mouse to start. That's kind of, you can see that's why I had 3 strings there. I knew this could be like do these things. That's what these things are. So L1, L1, L2, L2, L3, L3, and then what I actually want here is, once I've drawn that, I want to move the top down. So text rec dot top plus equals, I don't know, like 14, something along those lines. So draw, move, right? We only need to plus twice. This last time it leaves the function, so we don't have to care what it does. If you're in this countdown state, I want to say start in, and then the actual countdown value in seconds. So string 1 equals game start in, right, and then just do L1, and then I need to know how many seconds. I need to do like a string ss shoot get tick count minus start time, no, countdown period minus get tick count minus start time. Kitty count minus start time is gonna go 1 to 3, and that's gonna go 3 to 1 seconds, right? So let's just do that conversion inline. I'm not gonna do anything fancy, I just want to do it inline. So ss countdown period minus kitty count minus start time, it's gonna be milliseconds, I guess, divided by 1,000, if I'm not mistaken. Right? This can just be ss.str and ss.str.size, no line 2, but textrec.top plus equal to 14. I want to hard code that thing. I don't just want to leave it like that. I want to say int line height equals 14, and then you plus equal line height. That way, if we discover it's not actually 14, then we can change it again. So great. Why is this like this? Transfer control bypass initialization of this. Oh, you need to do this if you want to declare stuff in a switch case statement. Your declaration has to have these little brackets on it. Creates a new scope. This is, I don't know, it's free scope or transfer control something, but if you actually want to say here's a new variable, even though it's local, you have to actually put a little scope brace on it. I don't know why. Other languages don't force you to use these braces, but in C++, if you want to do this, like declare things and not just do tests, then you like, especially like this, I declare string stream, I declare string, if you want to do that, you need to actually define a scope for those to live in. That's kind of how I thought, how I learned how it works. I don't know if that's what it actually means, but that's kind of how that works. So that does somewhat seconds. Hopefully that kind of just doesn't break. It should say 3 for a while, then 2 for a while, then 1 for a while, then 0, and then just jump out. So ideally that should work. If you're in gameplay, it does nothing in this paused state. I just want the state string L1. We are seeing, we should at least be seeing somewhat of the finish line, right? So let's just do that. If you are in paused state, paused, click mouse to play. Click pause, click mouse to play. If you are in that win state, it should say L1, and it should say L1. If you does anything say score stroke? No. Okay, so if you are in that win state, it should say congratulations, you have won. Click to play again, or click to start over. Done. L1, L2, remember to include it in some scope somewhere so it doesn't just kind of live on its own out in the wild. Congratulations, you have won. We'll define that win state soon. Click to start over. I always say click to start over. It should just be, click mouse to start over, and that becomes 1. Sorry about that. I guess the one thing I keep forgetting is my text strict classical line height. So that one done, that one doesn't need it, and oops, this one needs it, and this one needs it. Oh no, L2. What am I thinking? So the text strict actually begins, actually exists here. So state win and then state lose requires a scope to declare its string variables. Here we go. Sorry, lost. Game over. Click mouse to start over. Okay, so in here we update the score, and here we need to actually just check out all the bricks broken. So pool is all bricks broke. Oh, actually, we don't need that. All int I equals 0 less than bricks plus if bricks I is visible, return if any of the bricks are still up on the screen, return, and then current state equals state. Oh shit, what have I done? It shouldn't compile state win. If you've broken all the bricks, you win, right? I guess the only thing we don't have is a way to see has the ball gone off the screen. I guess we can do that here. If you do these things and you check a collision, if ball.y is greater than simulation height, right? So if ball.y is greater than simulation height, then current state equals I just want to put that on its own line so it's easier to read, equals state lose. That should define all the little nuances. Let's see. I don't like this conversion from size t to int. I don't like all those little move the mouse to control the paddle, click the mouse to toggle pause, click the mouse to start. That is excellent. So it exactly does the countdown just like I envisioned. You do the thing and I want to pause it and I can still move the mouse just like I predicted, and then it does the countdown again. I'm super happy with that. Carries on with the score and does whatever. I just need to get to that losing state, right? I'm very interested in the losing. I'm not too interested in the win state, but I am interested in the losing state. So I guess that's lovely. 3210 and then it goes. So I guess the easy way to do it is to kind of we'll have to wait for like a minute or so just to kind of try and bounce the ball outside of the bounce. We saw that bug earlier. No, we're not getting it outside the bounds, not like we hoped. Nope. Collision detection is too good. Let's just take that last wall out. I'll have to leave this to kind of bounce around and do whatever. But I'm super happy with the current state of it. So what I want here is my simulation height my number of walls should be 3, and then my wall initialization routine, yes, I'm calling it a fancy thing like that, should not include that 4th wall. Here we go, wall 0 and 2 set value, boom. So at least we can count state lose. We can actually figure out if state lose works. I guess if we're doing another one, we could most likely debug it a bit, right? I just want to bounce it once, see it bounce on the paddle, and then let it go through. I want to see that state text change over to I'm sorry you lost, right? I just want to see that. Oh, I'm sorry you've lost, game over, click mouse to start over. Oh, but then it doesn't reset. Oh, look at that. It doesn't reset the paddle position, the ball, right? So there's a big issue. It also doesn't reset the score. Okay, so if you have lost, what should happen is the ball should do set values thus. Simple as that. And score should equal to 0, and that's it. So if you have, where do we set state lose? Yeah, we set state win. Whenever you do current state equals countdown, if, where's my thing where I check it? So yeah, if ball y greater than simulation state equals state lose, right? So when you lose, I guess this is the interesting thing. When you lose, okay, when you lose, okay, cool. I know what to do. When you lose, we'll reset you, right? Or whatever there. When you lose, when you win, okay, I guess let's not be silly. Whether you win or lose, let's just think about it this way. Whether you win or lose, you need to have your state set like this. And if you're in a win or lose state and you set your state, you try and click to go to new state, your score becomes 0. And then we call this update score function. Right? I remember we had a thing that actually got the text onto the screen. That's the thing. So the score becomes 0, update score. Let's try that. So as you play, it should be fine. When you win, it should do the same thing, and as you continue playing, this should be fine. Update the score to, oh, it doesn't update when it bounces on your paddle, it updates when you hit the thing. Let's do one more bounce. Boom, the anticipation is palpable. So let's see. Boom, you sorry up there, the ball went to the middle of the screen. Click the mouse to start over. The score should go to 0. Yes, and I'm now back in the initial game state. My blocks are not all visible. See, update score, I should just set them all to visible. Breaks. There should be a function called reset game, but because this only happens when you win or lose, I'm not too upset about it. So bricks, I set visible true, and that should get us back to exactly where we were. Let's try it. I'm running out of time. I have maybe a minute left for this video, but I'm fairly convinced that that kind of gets us where we want. So 3 2 1 go. I'm not even going to bother scoring. I'm just going to go there. Boom. I said click mouse to start. Oh, I should have scored because it gives me the ability to test that my bricks come back. So I'll score twice, and then let's go to what's this first. Go to the losing state, right? So I'll just leave the paddle there and see if I lose. Boom, now I'm in that lost state. Sorry, I've lost. I can still see the state of my gameplay that I had previously, and I say click, and it goes back to everything's fine. Let's see if I can start off nicely like this without any issues. Will it? There's an interesting bug. Okay, so I guess maybe we can do this is a very interesting bug. Maybe we can do a little bit of why is that bug so interesting? I've only ever seen it do that, so it's very interesting that it does that. So I guess next time we can fiddle with it, we can get rid of that bug. But I'm super happy with this. Today we have gotten the game states up, we've gotten the text up, we've gotten the screens there, we've gotten the controls, click pause. We can play, we can toggle pause, we can get to the game state. We have a win condition, we have a lose condition. I guess next time, check that, click mouse to play. Yeah, that's the countdown. And because you can't see the cursor, it's very difficult to cheat. So I'm very happy with that. Because it does the countdown, it lets us at least see what's happening. So I'll put the code in the repository as needed. But I'm super happy with that. I think maybe if we do one more episode, it will be possibly just clean up a little bit, maybe make it look better. I guess let's run it in release mode before we leave, just to see if it's reasonable. It should be fine. I don't anticipate anything being that different in release mode, right? Yeah, it's just as smooth. I'm happy with this because the paddle doesn't look like it's kind of crawling through molasses. I'm happy with this. I'm fine with this. I'm unhappy with that bug, that collision detection bug, but I think I'll leave it as an exercise for you, the viewer, to kind of just go through and see if you can solve it. I see what the problem is, but I'll leave it for you to solve, right? So if I click, it goes back to normal initial game state. So I'm very happy. I have been that guy. This has been that game, and we have learned how to code it. As usual, stay safe. Keep well. Cheers.